What is going on, everyone? My name is Jared Haas, and welcome to the Monday Night Racing post-race show after the Daytona 2000 race for Monday Night Racing. We saw the Cabry boys work it out there, but in the end, it was Chase Cabry capturing the win. Recapping the action here is Frontstretch's Michael Massey and guest Josh Slate, and we're going to start with our guest Josh. You started your day, been very quiet, finished, I believe, 17th. How was your day from your perspective?
We talked about it. It's so typically in these races, I always qualify in the back, and for some reason today I really qualified good. I think I started seventh, and I don't like being up front, especially at this track. It's so bumpy. It's hard to hold on to it, especially on the bottom lane. You're just scraping the bottom of the car, so it's tough to handle, which is fun for a plate race. But I liked Atlanta when we raced there because it's tough to handle. You go single file, you can pass easier. Tonight was just really hard to pass, and trying to trying to stay out of wrecks was difficult because dealing with a lot of brake lockup. That's what I dealt with. Got into Massie a couple times, just locking it up, and it was fun. In the end, like once I cool down a bit, it's look back at it and it's fun. It's a good combo. Uh, Hopefully do it again. Maybe some changes here and there, but overall pretty good.
Is there were you heated at anybody at any points of it? 'Cause I know you're always active on the radio there.
I tell myself going into the race, I'm like, okay, I'm not pressing this button. I need to just unmap it, but I can't get myself to do that. I feel like there's one person that I typically just get ticked off with. Uh, Today it was the 14 car, Corey Dowser. He
Okay.
just he couldn't keep a straight line. He just trying to be too aggressive all the time. Like we got to chill out a bit. And I came over to radio, said it a couple times. I don't really think it got across to him too well. So then late in the race, he's trying to get runs. I'm throwing mean blocks, trying to weave him out of line when he can, because at the end of these things, you want to position yourself with a good group of people. And I worked with Leighton and Monin to I might have just butchered his name, but we're
I'm,
working with him,
I'm not even
trying to
gonna
get to
try
the
to say
front. Nah, didn't work out, but my end goal was to get away from that 14 car because I knew it just wasn't going to be good.
Well, so we were talking beforehand, and there's one incident where you and I got together, and we can go into that. But the other one, I it just remembered we didn't get into each other, but it was a restart where you were right behind me, and I was like reading. I was talking in the chat in the Discord I was in, and I was like reading the name, trying to pronounce it of whoever was in front of me. I don't remember who it was, and then they like restarted while I'm reading the name, and I miss a shift and then you're behind me, so you just like made it three wide instantly. So if you thought I had a really bad restart there's the backstory for why I
Yeah,
had it.
I didn't know if you were hurt, like what the deal was, because I was restarted behind you. I'm like, okay, there's only so many times I can look at this Pocono logo on the back before I want to get past it and all that. Things got a little tricky, and
Uh,
I just I was ticked off. I got that's at a point where I was heated. So then that happened, and I'm like, this sucks. I ended up losing the draft, and I mean, it all worked out in the end. But that missed shift, I'm like, dang, this guy just completely missed a restart. I didn't know what you were doing. But there was a time late in the race where me and my spotter were talking, and I completely missed the restart. I was talking about what the plan was, and the plan should have been go, and I didn't go on the restart, so I lost the draft.
See, it happens to everybody. And then the incident where we actually got together, it was like we formed up. It was the beginning there. Like we formed up a second pack because we were trying to dodge the wreck. It was Chase Caber leading, which I wish I'd followed him the whole way because he ended up winning the race. But and then I was second behind him. You were third behind me. And then, do you even know like who wrecked in front of us? Because Chase just jerked down the track and instantly started braking. So I started braking, and then I
Yeah,
don't know what happened, but you and I ended up colliding, and
I
it
have
didn't
no
really hurt
clue.
me. It gave us damage.
Like it had to have been the 5 car up front. Dude was blocking like crazy, racing like a weapon up front, and I'm sure he probably had something to do with that. And then they go spinning. Everybody preaches, like when you get on iRacing, hold the brake, hold the brake, hold the brake. And you see everybody who preaches it never does it. And somebody slid up the track, got into me. I ended up hitting you. And luckily we didn't get too damaged. I think you said you had like 27 seconds of repairs. I had 25. So could have been really bad for a plate race, but it all worked out.
Yeah.
I want to talk about a little bit about your progression in the Monday Night Racing series. You've been there more or less since season 1. You captured a win in season 2 at Daytona, but I want to hear your thoughts about running the summer series, the more quick, fast pace of these, the super speedways with the next gen and then the Gen 4 with these 1.5 mile, 2 mile tracks. How's that really grown your craft in iRacing?
I think it helps a lot because they take the 2 series, especially take so many different skill sets. On the Gen 4 side of things, you have very easy to the throttle. You need to save your tires. You need to save gas. I about won the thing last week because I was saving gas. Ran out on the backstretch. You need to race with so much more like racecraft. Whereas in the super speedway races, you go. And I think that's what a lot of the people do. And that's why there's so many wrecks at the start of the races is everybody wants to go, go, go. And nobody lets the race play out. And so I feel like by seeing that and racing with this group, you kind of know who does what. And you just learn to be patient. And I feel like that's the biggest thing I've learned this year that's going to help me in the actual Monday Night Racing season is be patient. Like we don't have stages in MNR, like so it doesn't matter if I'm leading the first 70 laps if I don't lead the 71st lap or the 80th lap, yada yada yada. Like I'm not going to win. I'm not going to get any points. So it's just kind of positioning yourself at the end, and that's what I've learned a lot this year. And I feel like going into the next season, actual MNR, it'll be fun. I said it last year and kind of fell through, but I want to like win a championship and race with the pros and do all that and kind of get them to put some respect on my name when we go out there and race. When we go plate race, and I want the big guys to help me, not just pass me and have their clique of guys. I want to be one that they're going to want to work with, and it helps me win races, helps them win races.
That's how much has like being in this league helped because like you weren't really working in that. You were a college kid when you started in this league, right? And
yeah,
like how many connections you think you've made just from like being in this league for this many years?
Yeah, it's cool because like most of us are industry guys. So like back then I was doing my own thing with behind the wall media and ended up Chris Wilner. I was in a league with another group of people and Chris Wilner was in it. It's like, okay, let me get you in here. And then it opened the door to meet a whole lot more people and new people. And it introduced me and you, and you talked about how you used to write for a newspaper right down the street from my college.
Yeah.
Grew up in the same area, went to Virginia Tech, go Hokies.
Yeah.
You just like, it's cool to meet all the people. So now when I see him at the track, it's like, oh, I remember when you wrecked me 3 years ago at Nashville or did something here and there. So it's cool. It gives you something to talk about with the people, but it also opened a lot of doors and kind of helped get me to where I am now.
Yeah, sometimes drivers never forget, don't they? But I do want to mention too, you said you're a videographer, and I'm kind of curious too of how you've developed your craft in the, with the skills that you're trying to build into the racing world. Because I've done quite a bit of that video stuff as well with Frontstretch here. Curious how that's kind of built into the sport as well and how you've kind of built that resume.
Yeah, I think everybody you see fast cars go fast on TV and it's one thing, and you get to a race and there's nothing cooler than seeing race cars go by at 200 miles an hour. And even now at the races, like working in it, you have a different perspective, but still when you see them go by in qualifying practice the race, like I still get like a smile on my face when I see them go by. And so I think it's the coolest thing. And I've always liked making content. For the longest time I was a journalist, and now moved into photo, and then I moved into photo and video. So it's cool to capture these moments and kind of, instead of telling stories with words, I'm telling stories through video and photo. And I think that's the coolest part because making art with something that I really enjoy. I've been a race fan all my life, so to be able to work in the sport's really cool. And just like telling stories, even if it's a bad story, it's still a story. If it's a good story, like last week's win in Richmond, being able to tell a story from start to finish, running solid in practice, qualifying not great, going to the back of the pack, then going and win with Hocevar. It's really cool, and I love those moments, and I love that I get to capture it and kind of make something out of it.
I always mention there's a story on pit stall 1 to pit stall 38 or wherever the end pit stall is. So, Josh, we appreciate the time you have here breaking down, your Monday Night Racing perspective and what you do in the industry. Thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, I appreciate y'all for having me on.
Thank you.
See you on the track.
So that was Josh Slate, everyone, Monday Night Racing driver. Michael Massey, you were in this race as well, kind of made a little hiatus, and then you just popped in, decided to run the Daytona Chaos. And the other super speedway race you ran was the season opener at Daytona. And I think the first thing I want to ask is, how does this track compare to when you ran the season opener at Daytona? Because it seemed a lot more bumpier, and the moves just didn't really formulate as right.
It felt like when you were in the turns, the thing was bottoming out so much that it felt like you had a flat tire all the way around the track. Like, that's how rough that racing surface was. I get why they repaved it, but and kudos to Gary Sexton, who did the setups for it. He said he lifted the car up like 8 inches or so. I don't remember what the number he said, something like that. And so, like, imagine how much it was bottoming out before he lifted it up. So, but
I think you'd be going to the moon.
Just boom, yeah. But it was fun to drive. The runs were crazy that you could get with this next gen car. They talk about it all the time. The runs are just like insane. And I had fun out there. It was a little, you had to wheel it. The problem came. So I was kind of I got that damage in the incident with Slate, and then lost the draft the next green flag run, and ended up getting lapped. Well, I filed in, and then me and Nick Olson had a little bit of a battle for a lucky dog. I ended up getting ahead of him, getting that lucky dog. So then I was kind of just biding my time. I was drafting with Steve Affont the whole time. And he and I always work pretty well together. We always just stay out of trouble. That's their name.
The back marker thing, the back marker troublemakers.
Yeah, we just hope for 20 guys to rack, and we finished 1-2, right? A little shake and bake. But no, so we were riding along, and then 2 cars wrecked right up ahead of us. And it's like Steve drove by, and then the car drifted down the track in front of me, and it gave me a little bit of required damage and 5 minutes of optional repairs. So I fixed it up as best as I could without going a lap down, but that thing was crab walking. Like, to put it in perspective, in the corners, I had the wheel straight. On the straightaways, I had it like that. So I was turning right the whole last 30 laps or whatever. It was crazy. But me and Steve found our way back together at the end, passed some cars as they racked out, and got a 19th place finish. So that was solid top 20 in the return. It was nice to actually finish one of these in top 20.
A lot of drivers had difficulty getting into the server. Corey Heim was one of them, had connectivity issues. Curious to know, did you have any issues trying to get on the server? You were near around the storm areas. Of course, you mentioned from Virginia. Did the storms affect you at all?
So we had tornado warning, but honestly, it never affected my internet tonight. Knock on wood, because it doesn't start now affecting my internet. But no, Corey Heim was blinking. His car was blinking the entire race, and I don't know why he kept rejoining. I mean, the dude just won the regular season title in trucks, and he's like trying to make sure he finishes a Monday Night Racing race. That's crazy to me. And then Ford Martin, he had troubles as well. where he was losing power. He kept rejoining and then fall out again seconds later. I'm sure there were some others, but those were the two that caught my eye. So rough night for those guys, but hey, I'll take the two more spots higher on the finishing order that I get with them having trouble.
An interesting note with the Super Speedway Championship, Corey Heim was leading that, and it looks like Matt Stolnick and Leighton Sabile are the only two drivers to complete all the laps during that Super Speedway portion of the Monday Night Racing schedule. And
Wow.
I do want to make mention, too, on the final lap, Chase and Cole Cabrey up in front, and Chase Cabrey pulled off the move to go to the inside and just pass him on that. Do you think those Cabrey brothers were a big factor? Were you the ones looking out for the Cabrey brothers, or were you looking more Leighton Sabile? Are you surprised they really worked together with that?
Oh, the Cabrey brothers always work well together. And it's interesting, Chase implied the strategy of sitting back, while his brother Cole, I think, was up there leading early, like in the thick of things. So it's crazy.
He wasn't even involved in a wreck in turn 2. Yes.
So they it's crazy that it worked out that they found each other. A lot of times you get separated from someone, you might never find your way back to their bumper, but they're committed to work together. Matt Stolnick, I know he really wanted the chin. Who got the chin? Because I was racing.
I believe it's Stolnick. I didn't get the official word, but it would probably have been likely to Stolnick. He had 14 points ahead of Chase Cabrey. Cabrey won. Stolnick finished 6th.
Okay, so it's like the 1992 Hooters 500, right? In Atlanta, with Bill Elliott winning the race and Alan Kulwicki winning the championship.
By the skin of his teeth, Stolnick, I believe, is the super speedway portion of this race. Massie, let's dive in a little bit more. What you got cooking up on Frontstretch.com. I know you've had some fire on Fridays that have lit the world on fire.
Yes, I had one this past week, and it was basically the title of it was Fire on Fridays. NASCAR fans like wrecking, not racing. It was based on a Pocono. It had a ton of wrecks, and it got like an 80% something in Jeff Gluck's good race poll. And Richmond got like 53% people liked it. And that one had a lot of strategy, a lot of passing, but didn't have any wreck. Only had one wreck the whole race. So it just seems that people, I don't know, fans like a little bit of violence in their racing, even if they don't admit it. Other things, we got Happy Hour podcast this week. You can listen to that anywhere you listen to podcasts. I think we might be having, I don't know if it's 100% confirmed, but we might be having a certain Xfinity Series driver as the guest this week, if he can find a way to park it on there. But I'm not promising that. We'll see if it works out or not with schedules. But, and then next week, you will find me and another guy named Jared Haas at the racetrack for the SRX finale in Wheaton, Missouri, Lucas Oil Speedway. So super excited to go to that and finally cover a race with you, Jared.
Well, it's been a long time cooking. Obviously, we have coverage for NASCAR and SRX as well, making sure to get the post-race interviews because, again, TV time constraints on that. We make sure to have you covered at frontstretch.com. From Jared Haas here and Michael Massey, I hope you enjoyed the Monday Night Racing post-race show with frontstretch.com. Until then, as always, make sure to hit to like and subscribe. Thank you very much and have a great night.